Classic Big Ticket, the controversial 72 Olympic basketball final, tonight.
The following is a special presentation of ESPN Classic.
It was 1972, and it was the height of the Cold War.
We're ready to play for the gold medal, confident that we were going to win.
America was 63-0 at that point. Just the mere idea that anyone could threaten us or beat us was unthinkable.
It's all over. The United States winning their 8th consecutive gold medal.
We had our celebration, we thought we'd won. That's when everything else broke loose.
Well, confusion reigns, but the United States have that 1-point lead.
We had to do it again.
Now the clock shows 3 seconds. Alexander Belov.
It's sort of like being on the Sears Tower and somebody pushing you off and just falling 100 and something floors to the ground.
Probably the highest and lowest I've ever been in a 5-10 minute span of my life.
I would be proud to display my silver medal today, but we didn't get beat, we got cheated.
Hi, I'm Dave Revson. Welcome to Classic Big Ticket, the 1972 Olympic basketball gold medal game between the United States and the Soviet Union. We're pleased to have 3 guests with us to relive this controversial game. Doug Collins and John Bach to join us right now. We will catch up with Ed Ratliff later in the program. Doug Collins was a starting guard on this 72 U.S. Olympic team, went on to be the #1 pick in the 1973 NBA draft. He played 8 seasons in the league, has also coached 3 NBA teams. Doug, welcome to Classic Big Ticket.
Hey, it's nice to be here, Dave. Thank you, and especially to be with Coach Bach, who's one of my all-time favorite people.
He is our next guest, an assistant coach for the U.S. in 1972. More than 50 years on the sidelines, including assisting Doug in Washington. His coaching resume includes stops at Fordham and Penn State. He won 3 NBA championship rings as an assistant coach for the Chicago Bulls. John Bach, thanks a lot for joining us.
Well, I'm delighted a chance to talk about the unpleasant 72 Olympics, but something that was very meaningful to the players and the coaching staff that was involved.
John, before the tournament, Coach Iba said, quote, people in this country are so egotistical, they think you can just go out, pick 12 good players, and beat the world. Those days are gone. We're liable to really catch it and get beat. In Munich, the U.S. had never lost a game since Olympic play began in 1936, and we're up to 7 straight gold medals. But there was some cause for concern. Several stars were not on this team. David Thompson was a freshman, therefore ineligible. Ernie DiGregorio wasn't even invited to try out. Marvin Barnes was cut. Jamal Wilkes and Bill Walton chose not to participate. Especially troubling, I know, was the absence of Walton. John, why wasn't he on the team?
Well, I think it was a decision that he had made. I sincerely tried during the Olympic trials and thereafter to reach a friend of his to see if we could somehow arrange for him to come in and be on that team. But he had a stubborn will that he didn't wish to represent the United States because of our foreign affairs.
Doug, from a player's perspective, what effect did not having him on the team have on you guys?
Oh, it was devastating. I mean, he was by far the best player in college basketball at the time. He was a big man. He had tremendous skills. I think people forget also, too, Dave, the guy who actually made the team who was going to be our center after the trials was Schwinn Nader. And Schwinn was on our team and went over to Hawaii. We trained at Pearl Harbor, and after about 3 days, he quit the team. So now we're down another center.
5 days before this gold medal game, tragedy rocked the Olympics and the world as a group of Arab terrorists stormed the Israeli building. The horrifying results saw 11 Israeli athletes killed, along with a German police officer and 5 attackers.
Arab terrorists went to the headquarters of the Israeli team and immediately killed 1 man. They've been holding others hostage since then, and the latest report is that 1 more has been killed.
A German soldier came up to me and he says, stand next to the wall. The Palestinians are getting ready to bring out the Israeli hostages. As the Israelis moved behind me, I could hear the whimpering and the shuffling of the feet. The German brought the gun from my back up to the back of my head and held it there. And at that point in time, I'm pretty sure I closed my eyes and just said a prayer for myself. And I really should have been saying a prayer for them.
Our worst fears have been realized tonight. They have now said that there were 11 hostages. 2 were killed in their rooms. 9 were killed at the airport tonight. They're all gone.
We were saying, could this really happen? I mean, here we are for sport, and we see death and tragedy.
I wondered in my mind, why are we still here? Why are we even playing a game when this has taken place?
Doug, how did you feel about continuing to play after this?
Dave, that is so etched in my mind. Eddie Ratliff, who was my best friend, we got up that morning to go to breakfast in the Olympic Village, and as we walked about 200 yards out of where we were staying, we looked and we saw an area that was roped off, and we saw machine guns, hand grenades. We saw people with stocking masks over their face. It was devastating. I mean, the last thing you ever dreamed of or you would ever dream of is being in the Olympics and something that tragic happened. It was very difficult to get focused, but we knew that the Olympics as we knew them then would never ever be the same again.
John, do you think the game should have continued?
Well, yes, I do think the game should be continued, and the reason is when Doug will tell you, perhaps one of the finest speeches I ever heard from Abba Eban, the Israeli ambassador, who came in front of the assembled athletes of the Olympiad and begged them to continue and play the games. And it was touching. They had come a long way, and they would honor the athletes who were deceased more by playing than by running home.
Of course, as we know, those games did indeed go on. Both teams entered this gold medal game with 8-0 records. The U.S. 63-0 all-time in the Olympics, including a 4-0 mark in gold medal games against the Soviet Union. This game was also played against the backdrop of the Vietnam War and the Cold War. Doug, with all those factors coming into play, describe the pressure you felt as a player.
You know what, as a player, Dave, I know this is going to sound probably silly. I never felt pressure. I really didn't. We had a bond that we had built together as a team. We were steeled. We were a hardened team, and we'd gone through a lot together in our training.
Guys, thanks. We'll see you both later in the program. We are off now to the 1972 Olympic basketball gold medal game. ABC's team of Frank Gifford and Bill Russell with the call here on Classic Big Ticket.
They go for the gold medal tonight, the youngest team ever to represent the United States, and I might add, the tallest ever to represent the United States. Those are the starting lineups. Bobby Jones out of North Carolina, Dwight Jones out of University of Houston, Tom Henderson. Tom Henderson is having a great series. He's from DeWitt Clinton High School in New York, San Jacinto Junior College. And Alexander Belov goes up with Dwight Jones. Russia controlling the action. Bill Russell, we may as well point out right away that Russia is a very methodical team. They've been together for about 7 years, and they work like a machine.
These two teams have one thing in common: patience. Both teams are tall. I think this is going to be the most talented team either one of them have played in this Olympic, and I think they're going to run into something they're not used to.
That shot blocked by Jim Brewer. Jim Brewer of Minnesota. Bobby Jones out of North Carolina came up with the turnover. Dwight Jones, number 9 from the University of Houston. Out to Tommy Henderson. Over to Jim Brewer. Another turnover. Offensive foul charged against number 6, Sakandelides.
Now, I notice the Russians are sagging in the middle because our guys are so tall that our guards can take their guys inside, and the Russians are having to sag up. So what we can get, a lot of shots, 12 to 14 feet shots. They give these shots up. That's inside the foul line.
This is Dwight Jones. He works it back out to Brewer. This is Ed Ratliff, the All-American from Cal State of Long Beach. And he misses. Still no score. Just underway.
Both teams are a little tight right now. They're feeling each other out. And that'll happen in a championship game, that the guys, even experienced pros, will miss those first 2 shots most of the time, you know, in a game like this.
From the outside. Driving that shot blocked by Brewer.
Now that's one thing they can't let the Russians do, have that second and third shot. They are not great shooters, but you can't let them have that second and third shot. And I don't think that this is a trend. I'm just saying that this is one of the things we got to watch for.
Alexander Belov, 21 years old, perhaps the best player on this Russian team. Jim Brewer picked up the foul.
Now, the reason Tim threw against him is that he had switched to help up on the guy driving. And he made the guy miss a shot, but his man got the offensive rebound. And that will happen when you're helping out, if you're the big guy helping out.
All right, Dwight Jones took it off the boards. Again, another turnover. Second Deladies. And Henderson, trying to knock it away, picks up his first foul. Russia out in front, 1-0.
I don't think that we're going to see a great offensive battle tonight.
The United States showing a great defensive unit in their semifinal game against Italy. They beat them 68-38.
Now, this is one of the guys that hasn't been starting. He's starting tonight, though, as a different strategy.
Head coach Hank Iba on the bench, along with Johnny Bach and Don Haskins. Bach from Penn State, Haskins from Texas at El Paso. Second Deladies again with the steal. Russia 4, the United States, or the Russia 5, the United States nothing. 17:50 remains in the first 20-minute half. Foul called against number 11 of Russia, Korkia. And as you see in Olympic competition, international competitions, the only fouls you shoot are shooting fouls, and then you shoot 2 shots. All fouls, as a matter of fact, are 2 shots. Tommy Henderson, Bill, has been sort of the quarterback of this football team, if you will. Basketball team, if you will.
Yes, their offense is stale again. I think that
the battle under the board between Bob Jones and Alexander Belov.
You know, it's a bit of a situation now where if they're just get one bucket, they'll be all right.
And I'll tell you, this is the youngest team ever to represent the United States. They average 20.6 years. They're in against a veteran Russian group. Bob Jones against Alexander Belov.
The offense there, Frank, was that he hit the ball on the way up.
Bob Jones of North Carolina feeds it in to Tommy Henderson. Henderson, who in a few days will be on his way to the University of Hawaii.
You know, Frank, in watching this game so far, I can see both teams have been very well scouted. I think the Russian players know the American plays as well as the American kids, and vice versa. So that it's going to boil down to talent.
Dwight Jones, the leading scorer for the U.S. of the University of Houston. Foul by Sharmakhamdov of Russia.
Who?
I tried. Sharmakhamdov. Number 7. Doug Collins now in the lineup for the United States, wearing number 5 from Illinois State, where he was the 3rd leading scorer this past year. Jim Forbes is also in the lineup out of Texas of El Paso. Sergei Belov hits. 11-5, Russia. The United States has never lost a game in Olympic competition. And they're looking for their 8th consecutive gold medal. Doug Collins. And Bill, they've been having a tough time penetrating that defense.
Well, the Russians are playing pretty good defense. I think that the American team is going to have to look for the shots, like Doug Collins just did. To get that deep, they will give you, that defense will give you a 12, 14-foot shot. That's it.
Foul on Sergei Belov. Not in the act of shooting. The U.S. with the ball. 14:37 remaining in the first half. This is Dwight Jones from the outside, and they got to call that one. We've seen some strange goaltending calls.
That was a proper one, though.
No question. 11-7. The United States trailing by 4. 14:30 remains in the first half. Sergei Belov coming down. He's the good outside shooter. Shermakendorf from the outside. Taken off the boards by Brewer. That's what he did so well as an MVP in the Big Ten for the University of Minnesota.
Now, you notice the referee didn't handle the ball, Frank. The referee does not have to handle the ball in violation. The players can pick the ball up and go. So you got to be alert, and you can't wait for the referee.
Sergei Belov. And the United States turns it over again. They trail 13-7. We're in the first half, the battle for the gold medal. To Alexander Belov, Jim Brewer guarding. And Jim Brewer called with the foul. Jim Brewer, one of the big spark plugs of this team in their undefeated competition. Hitting from the outside, Sergei Belov. He has 8 points now.
And this is the guy they knew they had to be careful of because he's a great shooter. And especially he's using the screen mostly. And he's shooting from behind the screen most of the time, and he's pretty good jump shot on the move. So they're going to have to close him down.
And I'll keep repeating it. The United States trailed by 8 points. They've never lost an Olympic basketball game. And they're in trouble right now in the first half. Doug Collins gets it into Dwight Jones. Brewer finishes the job started by Dwight Jones. Brewer now with 4. U.S. trailing by 6. 13 minutes in the first half. Again, another one of those rules that you can see. You can cross that line and then go back. All right, we'll have another U.S. substitution. Kevin Joyce coming in. A fine outside shooter, Bill. It could be that Kevin Joyce of South Carolina would indicate that the U.S. coach, Hank Iber, wants to hit from the outside. And we'll be back with more coverage of the United States and Russia in their battle for the gold medal after this.
Hi, I'm Dave Revson. This is Classic Big Ticket, the 1972 Olympic basketball gold medal game between the United States and the Soviet Union. There's much more to come, including analysis from Doug Collins, John Bach, and Ed Ratliff, and plenty of controversy. Stay with us.
Sakandelides back in to Korkia.
He's supposed to be the fastest player in Europe, fastest basketball player in Europe, number 6.
Sergei Belov, and he hits. 17-9, Russia. Belov now has 10 points. Kevin Joyce, who averaged 18.3 points for South Carolina, and a turnover again. Boy, he is fast. 19-9. U.S. trails by 10.
You know, they've made more offensive mistakes in this game than they made, I think, just about all the other rest of the games put together almost.
6 turnovers by the U.S. so far. Bill, could it be this just tight? You've seen him play so well.
Yeah, I think they're just tight.
This is Kevin Joyce. Foul called on Sergei Belov. And he'll sit down as Ivan Nedashko comes in. Forbes gets it into Brewer. Over to Kevin Joyce, around to Ratliff. Up goes Forbes. Nedashko and Sakandelides, the guards now for Russia. Tipped away by Dwight Jones. Ratliff comes up with it. Oh. Foul called on Ed Ratliff. Bill, would that have brought you off the bench?
Well, these calls, you never can tell what the referee's going to call here, really, you know, because even the rules on what is a foul is a little different. And they're very hard to explain, but the rule, things that are considered a foul are a little different. So a lot of things that we say, well, what the heck's going on? The referees think it's perfectly. Now, this American team is still playing excellent defense. Excellent defense. The problem is that they're not playing very good offense. And besides being a little nervous, they're not shooting very well because they're not getting very good shots.
Tommy Henderson has come back in for the United States. Henderson from San Jacinto College down in Texas. Shamakamdov. Shamakamdov saves it. Goes back to Edasheko. 19-9, the U.S. trailing. Here's head coach Hank Iba. For 26 years, he compiled a collegiate record of over 700 wins, and he is the type of coach, Bill, that plays very deliberate basketball, and in a way, he's got a bunch of kids who are individuals, and they're being used as more of a team, and that they've come along and done it well.
Yes, but what happens, Frank, in that type of thing is, as you know, I said earlier, some of the things I have disagreed with, and one of the things is that they don't show enough imagination on the offense, and they're very capable of that. But I think that the reason he's done that, especially with this team, is because they're so young.
Burr from the outside. Not really his spot, but he hits. He has 6 points now.
You know, he's had a tremendous series over here.
Bill Forbes picks up the foul. Forbes from Texas at El Paso. 8 minutes and 39 seconds remaining in the first half. Sergei Belov leading the Russian scorers with 10. Many Americans in the crowd here this evening, and they have been rather quiet. The United States had their toughest test against Brazil. At one time, they trailed Brazil by 9. As Sergei Belov hits again. He now has 12.
Now, he's shooting from behind the screen, and the only way to really effectively stop that the way he's shooting is that the guy behind the screen, the guy that set the screen, his man's going to jump out.
All right, the United States on the offense. Mike Banham is in the ball game. Number 7 from St. Joseph's, Pennsylvania. Underneath, he finds Henderson. Getting away from Sergei Belov. 21-13, 7:55 remaining in the first half. Quick switch. Alexander Belov over Edasheko. Sergei Belov free again, misses. Shamakadov with the rebound. Finally, Mike Banham. Henderson back to Kevin Joyce. And Bill Russell, Russia playing fine defense.
Yes, they are. They both these teams have been very well scouted, as I've said earlier.
Dwight Jones misses. Korkia has the rebound. 7 minutes, 11 seconds in the first half. The United States down by 8. They've never lost an Olympic basketball game. They've won 8. They're looking for their 8th consecutive gold medal. They've won 7. Hank Iba looking personally for his 3rd gold medal. Joyce back around to Henderson.
So it's the Soviet Union in command with the U.S. trying to chip away, sparked by Tom Henderson. When we return, we'll have first half analysis from Ed Ratliff and John Bach. Stay with us as the 1972 Olympic basketball gold medal game continues here on Classic Big Ticket.
Tommy McMillan, number 13, is in the ball game. This is Tommy Henderson. He's number 6, working along with Doug Collins, number 5. Here's Collins, back to Mike Banham, number 7. Banham of St. Joseph's. This is Jones from the University of Houston. Henderson gets 3 and he hits. 24-19. Russia out in front. 6 points now for Henderson. And Bill, they go to the full court press.
That's to keep moving as much as anything. And maybe we can get the guys looking at the basket.
to Sergei Belov. He has 12 points for the Russians. Secondalities on the drive. Back to Belov. Guarded there by Doug Collins. Bantam knocks it away. Collins comes up with a good defense. And an immediate turnover. The U.S. now with 10 turnovers. Russia with 6. United States trailing Russia by 5 points. We're inside 2 minutes of the first half. Alexander Belov hits.
He hadn't had too much tonight.
Belov with 3 points. Henderson, number 6. From San Jacinto in Texas. Bantam from St. Joseph's in Pennsylvania. And this is the All-American from Maryland, Tommy McMillan, number 13. Collins from outside. Taken off by McMillan. And he gets it down. They're starting to shorten up. 26-21. 58 seconds remaining in the first half. Sergei Belov being guarded by number 5, Doug Collins. The foul called on number 7, Mike Bantam. Bantam picks up his 3rd foul. Number 9 of Russia comes into the game. That's Edasheko. And Jim Brewer comes back in, number 11 for the United States, to replace Mike Bantam. There's the story. 45 seconds remaining in the first half. The U.S. down by 5. Sergei Belov leading the Russian scorers with 12 points. Their other leading scorer is on the bench. He's not seen action. Modestas Palaskis has not been in this game. Alexander Belov guarded by Jim Brewer. 14 seconds. Tommy Henderson. 7 seconds. From outside McMillan. Time is stopped with 1 second on the clock. Roy Jones gets it away. He misses. That's the horn. The United States trailing Russia 26-21 after the first half.
So it's the U.S. trailing by 5 at the half. We are joined again by John Bach, and making his debut on Classic Big Ticket is Ed Ratliff. Ed was a swingman on this 72 U.S. Olympic squad, averaged more than 6 points in this tournament, went on to play 5 seasons in the NBA. Ed, why do you think the Russians were able to take control in the first half of this game?
You know, I truly believe, I know, as we were told before, they wanted to slow the ball down and keep the control of the ball. But I thought with the size of players we had going against the Russians, I thought we needed to move a little bit more and be a little quicker. And I think we played right into their hands at the start of the first half.
Take us into the locker room here, John. Who was doing the talking and what were they saying?
Well, we had schooled the team for a slow-down possession basketball game. And we did have some good scores, and they could run. But that isn't what the coach wanted. He wanted a tempo at which he felt we could play our best defense. And he had won 2 Olympic titles, seldom running all out. But in the dressing room, it was, hey, we're playing for a 50-point game.
Ed, how big of a factor do you think this deliberate style that Coach Bach is talking about, Coach Iba's style, how big a factor do you think that was?
I had deep respect for Coach Iba. I thought he did an excellent job in there. He did win 2 gold medals, and whatever he said was going to go, and that's the style of play that he determined that we would play. And up until that time, we did win, so you can't say he was wrong. I just thought at the time against the Russians, I thought as we're playing, I thought a quicker tempo with the guys we had would be a little bit better.
Well, we will see a little bit quicker tempo at some portions of the second half. We look forward to that. When we return, it is that second half of the 1972 Olympic basketball gold medal game between the United States and the Soviet.
The 15, Ratliff will put it in play. Over to Brewer. Doug Collins. Collins. He made it, Bill, but still was not a good shot.
Yes, it was not not a very good shot, but he made it. But the important thing about it is he went on his own. And I think they're going to have to do more of that because I think the Russians got the pattern played down they've got that, they know that pretty well.
The United States now in a very similar situation as they was with Brazil in preliminary play, and they came back to win that one.
Well, they're not out of this by a long shot. This is, they're very much in the middle of this game. They're going to have to pick up the offense.
Ratliff, rebound, Belov, almost saved by number 15, Ed Ratliff. Sergei Belov now with 12 points for the Russians were inside 13 minutes. Doug Collins, number 5, draws the foul.
No, he didn't call it technical. Looked like, I think he told Collins, if you say that again, I'm going to call it technical, whatever you said.
Gave the T, which would indicate the technical. I guess he was just warning him. Sergei Belov now at the foul line. He scored 12 points. He's 2 for 2. Now he's 2 for 3 from the foul line. (34-27). The Russians leading the United States. Russians with a veteran team, they can pretty much substitute whenever they want without losing a lot of strength. They proved that. They didn't even start their second leading scorer tonight, Modestas Palastas. Number 9 of Russia draws the foul. Edasheko, Ivan Edasheko. Edasheko with his second foul. Dwight Jones on the foul line. He's 1 of 2, and he has 5 points on the game. There is the foul situation. The lights by the number of the player. The Russians, Bill, continue to run players in and out. Do you feel there's some reason for this?
Well, they're not hurt very much by substitution. They play together so much that a guy with unequal talent can do the work pretty well. Now we're only 1 point down the second half, but we can't afford to play even. We got to play better.
Russia 34, the United States 28. There is the story. A grim story for many Americans who are watching this game. The Russians have maintained that 6-point, 5-point lead throughout the entire ball game. Here's the man, number 10, who has meant so much to the Russians tonight. Sergei Belov with 13 points. That's his shot. Dwight Jones, tempers flare. Dwight Jones, the number 8 of Russia, Bolchev.
Put them both out of the game, I think.
And I believe they are both out. Dwight Jones from the University of Houston, who had been the United States leading scorer coming into this game, is now set down.
I think we lost on that exchange, though.
I believe so. Corkia comes out. Corkia has not seen much action, whereas Mike Jones, as we mentioned, was the leading scorer for the U.S. coming into this game, averaging 9.5 points. Replacing Jones, Mike Bantam. And Mike Bantam has 3 fouls. Alexander Belov, 14 of Russia, 11 of Brewer. The United States goes up, and Brewer has been shaken up, and he is really our other big man, our other big rebounder, Bill.
Yes, he has. He got hit on the head in that exchange. I think he might even landed on his head.
His head snapped back when he slipped in that jump with Alexander Belov. Dwight Jones, tempers flare.
I get a rebound, and this guy comes down with his elbow in the back of my head. And I dropped the ball and turned around like I was going to hit him, and the referee threw both of us out the game.
They knew Dwight had a temperament that, they could get him rattled, and that was their purpose. And They got him out, and then once they got Brewer out, those were our two biggest bruises.
Belov, 14 of Russia, 11 of Brewer. And Brewer has been shaken up, and he is really our other big man, our other big rebounder.
I fell backwards, hit my head on the floor. I remember playing for maybe another possession or two. And then all of a sudden, there was a play call, and I couldn't quite remember what that play call was.
Hi, I'm Dave Refson. As our classic big ticket heats up, here to discuss the huge turn of events with us are Ed Ratliff and John Bach. And John, this was Mashako Korkia's first appearance in an Olympic game. There have been accusations that he was sent into this game to bait Jones, who was the Americans' leading scorer heading into the game. What do you think about that assertion?
Well, I think there's a good basis for it. I think that had happened in earlier games, in the World Games, and games. We were warned about it. We knew it could happen, and it really cost us dearly. We had no way of knowing that we were going to lose Jim on the next jump ball. That's what killed us.
Well, as you talked about, Jim Brewer did suffer a mild concussion that eventually caused him to leave the game. And as you look at that in combination with Jones leaving, how did that affect your team out on the floor?
You know, it's really, really tough when you lose your two big guys. And Jim Brewer was our power guy inside. But we knew that we had a job to do, and we went out there. We still felt like that we were still in good shape. We're still going to win the game. So, you just have to make do with that. And then the other players will come in, and you would expect them to pick up the slack.
Was there any sense of desperation at all?
I don't think so at this time. No, I think, we still had a second half to go. And I think as we go along, we always thought that we'd be back, we'd get ahead, and we win the game. So, if you're going to be desperate at any time of game, it comes near the end. At that time, we had a lot of time left.
All right, gentlemen, we will see you both later as the drama continues to unfold. There's much more to come as Classic Big Ticket rolls on.
Makamdov of Russia will come in. Makamdov, who had his best game in the semifinal game against Cuba when he got 15 points, is also an excellent rebounder. Makamdov back to Modestas Palaskis. Makamdov guarded by number 7 Bannon. Makamdov hits. 36-28 Russia. And time starting to become a factor. 10 minutes and 52 seconds remaining.
And what's important is offense that we don't have anything going.
Doug Collins, number 5, misses for the U.S. All right, the Russians, experienced in international competition. They've been together for many years against a team of youngsters from the United States, the youngest ever brought together. And they've only been together a matter of weeks. This is Alexander Belov, guarded by number 11, Brewer. Brewer switches off to Modestas Palaskis. Belov, Sergei Belov, gets his 15th point of the game. The Russians with a 10-point lead. Many of this jam-packed basketball hall sitting in almost stunned silence.
What the Russians are doing, as much as anything, they're getting second and third shots off the offensive board. The way they're getting this mostly is they're penetrating, and when the big guy goes to block the shot, that leaves his man free, and they're going to the boards.
Ed Ratliff, the All-American from Cal State at Long Beach. All right. The Russians' 10th turnover. 9 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. This is Tommy Henderson trying to generate something for the United States attack. Jim Brewer from the outside. The U.S. now down by 6. Brewer with 9 points. Sergei Belov into Alexander Belov, guarded there by Brewer and Bantam. Ed Ratliff is called on the foul. Shamarkamdov to the foul line. Bill, with 9 minutes remaining in the game, if you were coaching this team, you're down by 6 points. What would be your strategy at this point?
Well, there's nothing wrong with the defense. I might try some situations, try to work some one-on-ones or something like that. Because the guys he has out here, a guy like Radcliffe and Henderson, are both very capable of playing. That hurts. Both the kids are capable of playing very good one-on-one.
Modestus Velasquez. And Mike Banham, number 7, saves it. The U.S. now down by 6. We're inside 9 minutes. And what a job ahead. The U.S. has never lost an Olympic game. Doug Collins from the outside, he misses. Radcliffe battling for it. And Banham gets it. Number 7, Mike Banham. The U.S. now down by 4.
Dave Revson here as we continue our classic big ticket, the 1972 Olympic gold medal game between the USA and the USSR. Time for a little classic trivia. Here's the question. Who are the only 2 players from this 72 U.S. Olympic team not to play in the NBA? We'll be back with the answer right after these messages, so stay with us here on ESPN Classic. Welcome back. Before the break, we posed this classic trivia question to you. Who are the only 2 players from the 1972 U.S. Olympic basketball team not to play in the NBA? And the answer is Jim Forbes and Kenny Davis. Forbes suffered knee problems shortly after these Munich games, while Davis never made it. The other 10 players from this squad all went on to careers in the NBA. Stay with us as our classic big ticket continues.
Frank Gifford along with Bill Russell, 4 minutes and 22 seconds remaining in this battle for the gold medal. Russia leading the United States 44-38. Sergei Belov all the way. Rebounded now by Tommy Henderson. Tommy Henderson going back out to Kevin Joyce. Kevin Joyce, number 14 from the University of South Carolina. Shortens the Russian lead to 4 points. There's moisture on the key, and you will see the difference. Good shot to take a look at the difference in that key, as we know it in the States. It's 20 feet wide at the base, 10 feet wide at the top. But that's our story. The United States Olympic team has never lost a basketball game. They have won every gold medal since play began in the Olympics in 1936. And they are in desperate trouble. They have trailed Russia throughout the entire game. And they are down by 4. Ed Ratliff, number 15, is in the ball game. And it's getting a little rougher, Bill Russell.
Yes, it is.
Back out to Sergei Belov. Sergei Belov with 19 points for the Russians. Russians with their 14th turnover. Kevin Joyce brings it up. And he hits. 44-42. The United States drilling Russia by 2. 3:36, and Kevin Joyce is called for the foul. Kevin Joyce has come off the bench in the early games for the United States. He came off against Brazil, hit from the outside. Averaged over 18 points at the University of South Carolina.
They're coming alive.
They're letting them know we're here. Almost taken away again by Henderson. The full press. Tommy Henderson, number 6, picks up Sergei Belov.
Now, what the American team has to make sure now that the Russian team only gets 1 shot. If they get not be a good shot.
Foul called on Forbes with 3 minutes and 21 seconds now showing on the clock. Dwight Jones has been thrown out of the game from the University of Houston. He is not available. On the bench with 4 fouls is Jim Brewer. And Banham, who's in the game, number 7, also has 4 fouls. Sakandelides at the line. He has 7 points. He's 3 of 4 from the foul line.
Now they got to make sure they get this rebound. They can't let the Russians get the rebound and fool around and try to get another shot.
You see the official?
Yeah, these guys are playing rough now, and
Kevin Joyce, number 14. The United States now only down by 2. 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Kevin Joyce from the outside.
That was his shot. That was a good shot.
All right, the Russians bring it up court, and now we are inside the 3-minute mark. Where international competition games change considerably. Kevin Joyce draws the foul.
It'll be 2 shots now, though. All the fouls within the last 3 minutes are 2 shots.
Time is winding down on the Americans, but can they come back? When we return, a frantic sprint to the finish, and we'll be joined by Ed Ratliff and John Bach. Our classic Big Ticket continues right after this.
.258 remains in the game. Modestas Palaskis at the foul line. Oddly enough, as the Russian second leading scorer coming into this game, has not scored tonight. That's his first point. The United States down by 3. Battling desperately. They've never lost a game. They've never lost the gold in basketball competition. This is the youngest group ever to represent the United States. Clock moving with 2:40. Adesheko brings it up over to Modestas Palaskis. He's battled there by number 15, Ed Ratliff. And Ratliff draws the foul, his third. The Russian Olympic athletes on hand, as are many American athletes. Modestas Palaskis at the foul line. Bill Russell, time is really running out. Doug Collins of Illinois State comes on.
In this game, it's they got plenty of time. Even if he makes 2 free throws, they got plenty of time. But they got to keep getting a good. They got to get a good shot. They're going to score at least 3 times, maybe 4 times, though. That means they're going to have to. They can't fool around their end, though. They can't work the plays the way they want it, the way they have been.
2 minutes and 32 seconds remaining in the game. The U.S. down by 5. Kevin Joyce, who has sparked this U.S. team in the last few minutes. Number 14, he gets it around to Forbes. Number 7, Bantam, comes up with the rebound. Clock moving. Joyce hit. Kevin Joyce with 6 points for the U.S.
Now they got to make sure they only get 1 shot.
Doug Collins hounding Adesheko. Now Ratliff on Modestas Palaskis.
You can be sure the Russians are going to take their time.
We're inside 2 minutes.
So it is the U.S. climbing to within 3 points after trailing by as many as 10 in this second half. I'm Dave Revson, joined once again by Ed Ratliff and John Bach. And Ed, how do you think the U.S. was able to make this comeback?
You know, we kind of put a little pressure on them and up-tempoed the game, opened it up a little bit, and that gave our players a chance to get to the basket, left us open a little bit more. And when you do that, it makes it easier to get the outside shots. And I thought we did well to get to where we were, but I thought we opened up a little bit by putting a little pressure on them.
John, why not go up-tempo earlier in the game?
Well, you know, against the total philosophy of Coach Iba, he wanted a 50-point game. He didn't want a 70-point game. And we were down 10. And with 10 minutes to go, that means you better get busy and change this whole ball game. And we did take more chances, but they had been trained to play a 50-point game, that every shot was going to be important and every defensive play was important. And I think that's what you see when you look at the tape.
Well, Coach, whose decision then was it to turn it up a notch there?
Oh, I think it started with the players who said that we got to get something going. Every coach turns part of the game over to the players, and Coach Iba was no exception.
Ed, how did you feel they were responding to the pressure you guys were putting on there?
As you can see, they were folding a little bit because they weren't used to our quickness. I think what happens, we kind of put them to sleep the first half because we weren't picking them up. In the second half, we picked it up, we up-tempo, they threw the ball away a couple times, they rushed some shots. When you're down 3, you always feel like you're in the game, you have a chance to win, and we just knew that we were going to win that game.
All right, guys, we will see you as the madness unfolds. Stay with us. You do not want to miss this wild and controversial ending here on Classic Big Ticket.
Sunday.
Doug Collins at the foul line of Illinois State University. The United States trailing at 45 now. 1 minute and 50 seconds remain in the game. And you can cut the tension with a knife here at the Basketball Hall of Munich.
And that Russian coach is pulling out all stops. He's getting those guys, he's trying to get his shooters and guys arrested for that last.
The lead cut to 1 by Doug Collins. The streak on the line, 63 straight. 7 gold medals. 1:35 remains. Russians, a veteran team, using all the time they can. They have a 1-point lead. Should it go into overtime, it will be a 5-minute period. The foul is called against Kevin Joyce, his 3rd foul. On the line, Sakadelides. He's 3 for 6 from the foul line. The Russians now with a 2-point lead. 1:28 remaining in the game. Jim Forbes, number 10, gets it back to Kevin Joyce. The U.S. now down by 2 points. 1:20 remaining in the game. Joyce misses. Ed Ratliff, number 15, the All-American from Cal State, saves it. 1 minute. 1 minute remains to be played. Everything on the line for these youngsters. And Mike Banham goes out of the game. Mike Banham picks up his 5th foul. What a situation for this young team. They're down by 2 points. 55 seconds remaining in the game. They have been tremendous throughout the preliminary competition to the semifinals, overwhelming Italy 68-38. And now they find themselves with their backs totally to the wall. Jim Brewer was shaken up. He fell to the floor. Dwight Jones, the other key rebounder from the University of Houston, was thrown out of the game. And now Mike Banham, number 7, is out of the game on fouls. And in international competition, all fouls within the final 3 minutes are shooting fouls. 2-shot shooting fouls, considered deliberate fouls in international competition. Coming into the game, replacing Bantam, number 13, Tommy McMillan, the All-American from Maryland. But more important, on the foul line, the leading scorer for the Russians this evening, Sergei Belov. He has 19 points. He's 3 for 4 from the foul line. It'll be McMillan, 13, Forbes, 10, Collins, 5, Kevin Joyce, 14, and Tommy Henderson, number 6, in the final 55 seconds of play as Coach Hank Iba. Coach Hank Iba looking on. He's never lost an Olympic game. And Sergei Belov misses. The U.S. down by 2. All right, the United States now down by 3. The clock moving with 53 seconds. Doug Collins going up with number 6, Sakandelides. 3 seconds shows on the clock as Doug Collins desperately driving for that lay-in. Crashed into the support of the basket. Doug Collins of the United States, Illinois State University, was shaken up. That's the story. 49, 48, 3 seconds on the clock. Doug Collins coming to the bench, and he'll stay in. And here's the story. He will be shooting 2 fouls. Doug Collins and what pressure you put on a young man. He's 4 for 4 for the night. He was the 3rd leading scorer in the nation. This place goes insane.
So Doug Collins sinks the first free throw to even the score, the first tie since it was 0-0. We are joined once again by the man who was at the free throw line and his teammate Ed Ratliff. Doug, before we get to the huge second free throw, take us through your steal as the Soviets were trying to run down the clock.
Well, you know, the shot clock was off, Dave, so they really didn't have to shoot the basketball. But for some reason, they went to the basket. They tried to get a shot. Tom McMillan blocked the ball to the corner, and I went in and sort of just baited to where it looked like my man was going to be open. And then when I got the steal, I really just had one thing on my mind. That was to take the ball to the basket. I knew that the man had a poor angle on me, and I felt like I was just going to throw myself in there and try to get to the free throw line. Fortunately, I got fouled, and you know, I was knocked a little woozy there for a little bit, but gathered myself.
Well, how were you able to do that? How were you able to gather yourself and shoot those free throws?
I think you trust your routine. After I'd taken that fall, there was a lot of question, I think, whether I was going to be able to shoot those free throws or not. And I remember Coach Iba saying, if Doug can walk, he's going to shoot them. And I just felt a bolt of confidence go through my body. I wasn't going to let Coach Iba and my teammates down.
Ed, what was going through your mind as Doug was about to step to the line there?
Well, we played against each other all summer, and I've seen Doug take harder hits than that, so I knew he would get up and shoot the free throws. I'm sure he's just thinking nothing but how the ball's going through the net, and he goes through his routine, and he showed that when he made the first one, I knew he would make the second one.
Do you think the game's over at that point?
Well, I knew he'd make both free throws, and with 3 seconds to go, I didn't think they have enough time to take it in and throw it in and shoot the basket.
All right, guys, thanks. Stay with us. There is much more to come here as we continue on Classic Big Ticket.
Doug Collins, and what pressure you put on a young man. He's 4 for 4 for the night. He was the 3rd leading scorer in the nation. This place goes insane. Doug Collins has tied it up. We never saw the official indicate that foul, but Doug Collins has perhaps won the game. 2 seconds. Somebody has gone down on the floor. The Russian coach and Hank Iba, or Russian official and Hank Iba, were yelling at each other. And Bedlam has taken over here at the basketball hall. The United States leads now 50-49. There's 1 second showing on the clock. What neither team wants is a technical foul. Everybody trying to calm everybody else down, and it would appear the officials trying to get everyone settled down and quieted down. Comes over to talk to Hank Iba. And Tommy Henderson gesturing to the clock, perhaps asking, is that official? He gets the nod. It is. And it shows. Well, now you have me totally confused. They're changing the clock is what they're doing. They're going back to 3 seconds is what the PA announcer said. So we'll have to speculate that it's all over. Wow, what a finish. The United States winning their 8th consecutive gold medal. This place has gone crazy. Doug Collins driving was fouled by Sakandelides. He made them both. The United States wins it 50-49. Hank Iba in the middle along with assistant coach Johnny Bach. Great performances, particularly by Kevin Joyce, who came on to spur the United States attack with 6 points. We're being told the scoreboard is not correct. And they are running the clock down as Hank Iba comes to the bench to get the official count. The horn has sounded, but apparently they're going to move the clock back down to the 3 seconds that was indicated was official.
According to international rules, it was only the coach that could call the timeout before the first or before the second foul shot. Once the referee handed the ball to the foul shooter for the second foul shot. The ball was in play, and you could no longer call timeout. The fact that we hear this sound going off would indicate that the scorer's table was aware that a mistake had been made and that there should be a timeout awarded to the Soviets.
At this point, R. William Jones, the Secretary General of the International Amateur Basketball Federation, comes down from the stands and does something that no man can do. Overrules the referees who are in control of the game.
You can see in the film, Mr. Jones has 3 fingers raised saying that there's 3 more seconds remaining in the game.
They're changing the clock is what they're doing. They're going back to 3 seconds.
The Russians again threw the ball inbounds and threw a long pass the other end of the floor, and then the horn sounded again, and that's when we contend that the game was over.
The problem with the situation is that, again, the referee inbounds the ball prematurely, in this case because the clock was reading 50 seconds and not 3 seconds.
They had to reset the clock, so they got a third chance, and so the Americans thought that at every turn they had been cheated, when in fact they probably hadn't been, but they'll never acknowledge that.
Doug, take us through your emotions from thinking you've won the gold to having replayed those final seconds there.
Well, you know, Dave, I think really what went through my mind is the ball was handed to me at that point in time, as I was getting ready to shoot the free throws, I heard the horn go off, and maybe I didn't hear it, I don't know, but I know I hear it in retrospect, but I just went through with my routine and shot the ball, and once the Soviets inbounded the ball, there really shouldn't have been a stoppage of play.
John, from your perspective, what was it like on the floor during all this commotion?
Well, I'm the dark-haired guy that was up at the table trying to speak to Dr. Jones, but he kept saying 3, and I kept saying you can't put time on the clock. But his order to me was, tell Mr. Iber, put the United States team on the floor or forfeit the gold medal. And Coach Iber had to decide in that chaos what to do. And he said, we're not going to lose the gold medal sitting on our asses.
Was there any thought at this point of putting Tom Burleson in the game at 7-4 to guard the inbounder?
Yes, and I frankly suggested it, and Coach Iber said, no, I want McMillan on the ball. So that was it. When Henry Iber said, I want someone on the ball, that's where he went.
Doug, what are your thoughts on what happened here, and particularly R. William Jones, the FIBA Secretary General, who technically had no authority in these Olympics, coming down and telling the officials what they should do?
It was a very political time. You know, Coach Bach will tell you that. This was during the Cold War, and there was a lot of politics involved, and the last thing we wanted it to do would get into a political decision, which is exactly what happened.
Doug, one thing is clear as we look back at the replays of this. The clock was obviously set wrong during the second inbounds play. You are an accomplished coach. Imagine your team's trying to inbound to win a gold medal and the clock was set wrong. How would you have reacted?
Well, one of the problems, Dave, was those are antiquated clocks. See, they're rewinding it. It's not like the new clocks where you could just put it to 3. They rewound it down, and I think they got impatient. They did not let it get down to the 3 seconds. Everything was just in a frenzy at that point in time.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. When we return, the dramatic, heated, and controversial conclusion to the 1972 Olympic gold medal game here on Classic Big Ticket.
Well, confusion reigns, but the United States still, they have that 1-point lead, 50-49, as a result of 2 pressure-packed foul shots by Doug Collins of Illinois State. Now the clock shows 3 seconds. There is time for the Russians to go to their big man, Alexander Belov. They're going to try. Alexander Belov between 2 American defenders. Back there with him, Jim Ford and McMillan. And the Russian team is 49-48. Then the clock, and again the official is talking to head coach Hank Iba on the side. And that looks like the final score, although there is a big rhubarb going on in front of the bench. Meanwhile, the Russians are mobbing Alexander Belov. Come back into the game after receiving quite a head blow. There you see Coach Hank Iba in the dark blue suit, along with number 7 Mike Bantam of St. Joseph's of Pennsylvania. And apparently the argument is over the amount of seconds, but the clock was wrong. The Russians put the ball in play with 1 second. They threw it the length of the court. The gun sounded. The United States apparently had won the game. Then the official came over to the scorekeeper's table. He was told that that clock was unofficial, that there was really 3 seconds remaining in the game. So they ran the clock back to 3 seconds. Russia inbounded the ball. It went the length of the court to Alexander Belov. He put it in to put the Russians ahead 51-50, but the debate still goes on.
So the Soviets take the gold medal, snapping the U.S.'s 63-game unbeaten mark in Olympic play. Here to discuss this highly controversial outcome are Doug Collins and Ed Ratliff. Let's break down this third and final inbounds play, guys. First of all, as we're going to see in the spot shadow here, the referee appears to tell Tom McMillan to back away. And secondly, it looks like the inbounder steps on the line as he throws the pass down the court. And then there may have been some contact here as Alexander Belov comes down with the ball over Kevin Joyce and Jim Forbes to score the winning basket. As you look at that sequence, Doug, what's your take?
There really was no timeout. Had there been a timeout, we could have substituted and put Tom Burleson in the game, and he could have been back there defending, but there really was never an official timeout given to the Russians during that period of time. Tom McMillan made a mistake. You know, he backed up, and in backing up, he backed up really where he was guarding nobody. But a lot of that was that we were pushed back out there. Eddie would tell you there was tremendous chaos. You had 2 referees who didn't speak the same language.
Doug is correct. There should have been some other players back there for that long pass. But like I said, with no timeouts, with them rushing us back on the court, we didn't really know what was going on.
Well, Henry Iba was pickpocketed shortly before the U.S. filed the protest, losing a wallet containing $370. He flew home not even awaiting the decision, which took 14 hours to render. The communist bloc countries won the vote for the Soviet Union 3-2. So, Doug, what was it like waiting around for that decision?
Well, you know, Eddie and I and some of our teammates, we went out and we were up all night, and we knew it was probably not going to be good because anytime you have to decide a gold medal in the courtroom, you got problems. So we were sort of sitting around that morning, and the manager of the team came in and he said, "We lost our appeal. We have to go get the medals." And you know, there was no specific vote taken. We just said, you know what, we didn't earn the silver medal. You know, we didn't earn that, and we got on the first flight and went home. And it was heartbreaking. I always compare it to, you know, the greatest moment you've ever had as an athlete, and someone later telling you, no, that really didn't happen, and pushing you off about a building.
Now, as Doug mentioned, you guys decided not to accept the silver medals, and I know every few years you get a letter from the Olympic Committee saying you can have the silvers under the condition that the team needs to vote unanimously to accept them. And would you ever vote to accept the silver medal?
Oh, never. There's no way I'd ever take the silver medal. We didn't deserve the silver medal, and Doug is right. There's no way we're going to take it. I'm sure there are a couple other players that may have changed their mind, but I know Kenny Davis for sure put in his will that no one in his family can accept it after he passes away.
How about you, Doug?
No, I wouldn't accept it. You know, there's a lot of conversation. You know, Dave, Tom McMillan is working hard to see if possibly you get a dual gold or whatever, but it's not bitterness or anything like that we walked away from a silver medal. We just felt like that the vote was against us. We had no chance, and so I think we're just a united group of guys.
Well, Doug, you mentioned that dual gold, and there is the precedent of this. Figure skating in 2002, they ended up with the French and the scandal, the judging scandal. Do you think that will ever happen where the U.S. will be awarded a gold medal?
I don't think so. You know, it was interesting, Dave. I was just in Athens this year doing the games there, and I was doing the basketball, and a gentleman came up to me and he said, "Do you mind if I take a picture with you?" And I said, "Not at all." And so I took the picture, and as he walked away, a guy asked me, he said, "Do you know who that is?" And I said, "No." And he said, "That's the guy who refereed your game in 1972. And I said, "Well, go ask him who won. I want to hear who he said." I never found out what he had to say.
Doug, validity of this decision aside, what did this game tell you about the globalization of basketball?
It's interesting, but if you look at sort of what's happened to the Olympics, you had 72, you had our situation, and then the United States did not play the Soviet Union again until once they met, I think, in 88. So in 76, they didn't meet. In 80, there was a boycott. In 84, there was a boycott. They met in 88. The United States lost, they got the bronze, and then 92 became the Dream Team. So yeah, I don't know if all that stuff leading up led up to the Dream Team or not, but I think we felt like that these other teams were sending professional athletes, and we should send our best athletes as well.
Guys, thanks a lot. One final note, and Doug talked about the officials. In the chaotic moments that followed the game, One of those officials, Brazilian Renato Regetto, refused to sign the official scoring sheet in an act of protest. Regetto called the Russians' victory, quote, completely irregular and outside the rules of the game of basketball. For Classic Big Ticket, I'm Dave Revsey.